Have you ever looked at a painting like this one and wondered what you are actually looking at? Perhaps you've encountered other art made of simple blocks or shapes like this image by Joseph Albers of yellow squares, or even denser canvases filled with overlapping lines, squares, and rectangles, similar to this painting by Olga Albisu. These are all examples of abstract art. But what does abstract art or abstraction actually mean? Abstraction means artists have altered recognizable figures and forms to be less naturalistic or to appear unlike they do in nature. Maybe they don't even try to create any recognizable forms at all, because abstract art can be non-objective or non-representational. Abstraction dates back thousands of years, but most people think of abstract art as a product of 20th century art movements in which artists intentionally created art without identifiable subject matter. Piet Mondrian's paintings come to mind. Beginning in the 1910s, the Dutch artist was experimenting with images that had no clearly identifiable subject matter. We see lines and colors and basic shapes like squares and rectangles. He's reduced his color palette to the primary colors red, yellow, and blue, as well as black and white. Mondrian was trying to find a way to create balance and harmony using what he saw as a universal language of art, which was important to him after the chaos and devastation of World War I between 1914 and 1918. Abstraction has been a cornerstone of modern art since about 1900, with many artists beyond Mondrian thinking about art for its own sake rather than trying to represent forms naturalistically as they appear in reality. Artists played with color, line, shape, and texture to create different effects. Spanish artist Joan Miró tried to invent new shapes and forms that he imagined, tapping into his unconscious to create dreamlike imagery. You can see this on display in his 1936 painting called Personages Attracted by the Forms of a Mountain. Forms vaguely resemble mountain peaks, but there are also floating globular figures and craggy pointed shapes that appear to be alive, all painted in bright colors. Abstract images can be based on animals or objects whose forms have been radically altered or simplified. One example of this is Jeffrey Gibson's Between Rabbit and Fox from 2017, in which he's positioned brightly colored triangles and blocks to overlap, creating fleeting impressions of both a rabbit and a fox. Mexican artist Diego Rivera's much earlier Zapatista landscape includes more recognizable forms, such as a sombrero, a rifle, and mountains, but they're abstracted by the way the artist flattens and fragments them or surrounds them with empty white space. Both Gibson's and Rivera's images display different types of engagement with abstraction than, say, Alma Thomas, who used short, rectangular brushstrokes in bold colors, or Yuki Katsura's paintings of bold, flat planes of color and textured surfaces. It's important to remember that abstraction doesn't necessarily imply simple images or artworks, though it can. And of course, why artists use abstract forms can vary widely depending upon the moment they are creating and what they are reacting to. Now, artists' experimentation with abstraction has not been limited to two-dimensional surfaces. Sculptors such as Donald Judd and Ruth Asawa have explored abstract forms in 3 dimensions. Judd's Untitled juts out from the wall, invading our space, and stretches toward the ceiling like a fragmented column made of individual boxes. Each identical box casts a reflection. What was Judd trying to do here? Well, he definitely wanted us to think about art without symbolism, to experience it physically, and even to question what art actually is. Perhaps it's useful to think of abstract art as prompting us to consider the very act of creating art, or maybe just to pause and think about bigger questions such as how we define art at all.